So, I'm sure you guys have heard the news. Portugal has changed its residency requirements for citizenship. So instead of 5 years of being a resident, and which allows you to apply for citizenship here in Portugal, they now changed it to 10. So, does this affect your decision to potentially move to Portugal? Short answer, yes. Absolutely yes. It was already a bit of a decline because people ask me this all the time. Should I consider moving to Portugal? And once they actually changed the NHR, which is the habitual residency program, once they got rid of that, it was already a iffy situation for me when people ask me, should I move there? I would generally tell them no, because the taxes here are so high, 40%. Just didn't make any sense because you have other options such as Spain. If you're a retiree, you have France, and there's the Greek islands, Malta, and etc. that you still have those residency by investment programs. So you still had a bunch of different options to consider instead of coming to Portugal. However, the thing that Portugal had going for it was the fact that residency was still quite easy to get, considering other factors. So the process was still quite simple. You still had an easier path to get to Europe and, potentially getting that second passport or fleeing the US with the current situation, especially with the war in Iran and etc. So it gave some incentives for easy way out. But now that they've changed the requirement from 5 years to 10 years, I say it's a no-go. People who are considering Portugal should consider somewhere else. Now, I've seen forums on Reddit and etc. that talk about this, and most Portuguese people are very happy with it. But I also see the dark side with it. All the investment and money that have been flowing in here in capital is going to be gone. People are going to start investing in other countries, buying up properties, fixing a lot of these dilapidated properties that are here in Portugal. Now the investment's going to be gone. And people are going to consider to, build small businesses, tech companies, etc. elsewhere. There's no incentive to come here to Portugal anymore. So, I know it's a whole political thing is happening everywhere. Right-wing, parties are kind of gaining power, and this whole nationalism thing, keeping out the immigrants is happening all over the globe. But there are some dark sides to it. And, people are going to realize pretty soon that the economy, without these tourist dollars, without these investments and etc., is going to go back to where it was. And the economy here in Portugal wasn't that great. I'll put a link in the description of this article I read a couple of days ago. Basically, it was talking about how the youth in Portugal are fleeing. Once they graduate from high school, they go to other countries and to find work, or they graduate from college and they go to other countries like France, Spain to find work because the salaries are very low here and there's no way to make a living. So you have this, net loss of youth, Portuguese youth leaving the country. And so what do you do in that situation? You bring in more investment. You bring in people to come in and revitalize the economy because you're losing all those dollars. And Portuguese people, they don't have a lot of kids. Most families have one kid, which is crazy. But I understand. So to wrap this up, all in all, the fact that the cost of living here is not the same as like 5 years ago, 3 years ago. Even when we came here over 2 years ago, we've seen a dramatic increase of the cost of living, from housing, from just normal goods. We've seen the increase in price. I want to say from goods perspective, about 15-20% increase from just buying groceries. We have to shop at low cost places like Aldi and Lidl just to kind of save on the cost of groceries. So we've seen the increase of that. We've seen the increase of housing, which is a whole nother topic if you guys want me to, give my thoughts about it, why there's such a shortage of housing here and increasing the prices and everything. But That's one thing. So you have that. Now, then you had the NHR being dismantled, and now you have this 10-year requirement for residency to apply for citizenship. I would recommend people who are considering Portugal consider somewhere else, which I'm sure would make a huge section of the Portuguese people happy. But, be careful what you wish for, because I've seen this happen and play out time and time again. It's sad, but the government needs to find another way to make things right with Portuguese people, i.e. building more housing, low-cost housing, stop holding up these building permits so that people can build more housing, more affordable housing, because, I know some people who've been waiting for building permits for over 2 years, which is ridiculous, even for like renovation projects. It's crazy. But anyway, whole nother topic for another day. I'd like to know what you guys think. What you guys think of this new 10-year requirement? All right. Once again, thank you guys, and I'll check you out on the next one. Peace.